This is the Xiaomi 15 and this thing here is the Vivo X200 Pro Mini, and I've been using these phones for almost 1 month, so 1 month for sure for the Xiaomi 15 and just almost 2 weeks with the Vivo X200 Pro. And in this video I would like to give you my honest opinion about which phone will I try to sell and which phone is actually a keeper. Now guys, those phones are both great. 6 or 3 inches, right, like some very tiny difference. And I can tell you, coming from an S24 Ultra, using a small phone feels just so great. But a small phone that is also very capable, has nice cameras, and you can pretty much do all kind of things with it. So this is very important, not just the phone factor, but those phones are really like premium phones. They just have a lot of features and not a lot of things are missing. And although they might look quite similar in terms of form factor and just some design changes, you can see here, there are some very noticeable differences. The Xiaomi 15 uses the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite and it's just great. The Vivo X200 Pro Mini uses the latest Dimensity 9400 chip and it's good as well, but I'm not saying great, and you're gonna find out why. In this video I'm going to review those phones and give you my opinion on really which is best for what, because you're gonna find out, it really matters. Now let's address the design. From the front they are very similar. Little small screen with very flat screen, both of them, but when you turn it on the back, yeah, you're gonna see there is a big difference. The camera model on the Xiaomi 15 looks like this and it's not centered. The camera model on the Vivo looks like this, and I can tell you, like, the design from the Vivo is just better for me. I really like it. It's not that the design from the Xiaomi 15 is bad, but it's just more boring. And by the way, this looks pretty much the same as the Xiaomi 14. And by the way, there are not really a lot of changes, just besides that the new chip is inside, because even the camera is almost the same one from last year, and just the ultra wide here is the new camera. So you pretty much get like the camera setup from a phone released 1 year ago. The Vivo X200 Pro Mini comes with the latest Sony Lydia 818, and yes, I'm gonna just try to keep that short, guys. The camera here is better, and it's not just that the main camera is better, because the main cameras from both these phones are very good. But the difference really here is when you start to engage the zoom. Now for starters, this one here is a 3x optical zoom. The Xiaomi 15 is also advertised at 3x, but it's actually 2.6 and it's still capable. Although with low light condition, the Xiaomi 15 shutters is just a tiny bit slower than this. But the main difference here is when you engage with 3x, 5, 10x and above. The camera inside the Vivo X200 Pro Mini is better compared to the camera we have from the Xiaomi 15, and that's my opinion. This is how I really see it, and if you disagree, then let me know what you think down below in the comments. But guys, let's continue with the comparison. So design-wise, the winner for me is the Vivo X200 Pro Mini. I got this green color that changes under light. It's really a nice thing. Now, this design also has some cons, guys, because see here, like, it's a small phone, right? And I got rather like a big hands. Every time I try to use it, my finger stuck here, so I try to go here, and yeah, that is not ideal because then I cover the cameras. The same happens also here, and the bump on the Vivo X200 Pro Mini is just a tiny bigger. Design-wise, I'll choose the X200 Pro Mini over the Xiaomi 15. Now let's continue with the OSs, because this is what you see on a daily basis. This is how you really interface with your phone. The Xiaomi 15 uses the latest HyperOS 2 by Xiaomi, Android 15, and the Vivo X200 Pro Mini uses Origin OS. Again, it's Android 15. And besides them both using Android 15, everything else is pretty much different. And again, I'm going to be very practical about this. First things first, you need to know those phones are not global, they come from China, which means there are several limitations. Now, the biggest limitation is you cannot use an eSIM here, but there are some workarounds like a physical fiber SIM card that will support you up to SIM cards. Android Auto also doesn't work, but that's not confirmed because we have already some Chinese phones that do support Android Auto. Band 20 is probably not there, which means that if you rely on this, you probably have some issues with network connectivity, and there might be also some other things like localization is missing. Honestly, for me, this never has been an issue. I don't use eSIM, I don't use Android Auto. I really get great support from these both phones, and by great support I mean full 5G. I get crazy speed on the Xiaomi, going more than 1200 Mbps. The 5G speed from the Vivo wasn't so impressive. VoLTE works, this is voice over LTE, this is very important for me. I do a lot of phone calls, and this means that while you're on a phone call, you can still use your LTE or 4G data. Also, Wi-Fi, this is voice over Wi-Fi. Everything works on both phones. But the 5G connection on my Xiaomi 15 is better, tested in the exact same blind spot. Being China phones means that they come with some China apps pre-installed. A lot of this is like bloatware. It isn't so dramatic, and a tiny bit less on the Xiaomi 15, but my main observation is battery restrictions, because the Chinese ROMs are very aggressive with battery restrictions, and this means that you have to go and try to set up and remove those restrictions to be able to get push notifications. On the Xiaomi 15, for example, if you just get it out of the box and I get a call like from Viber or Facebook Messenger, nothing will happen. So I have to go inside the app and remove the battery restriction to just not even get notifications, but that the phone just will allow the application to start. On the Vivo X200 Pro Mini is circa the same, but I have far more issues with the Origin OS 5. I'm using some work apps that require Microsoft Intune and Azure and Outlook, and I have problems with the Vivo, although I've tried to remove all the settings. So what I want to tell you is that the HyperOS 2 just works really great. And by the way, both phones do support NFC payments, my Google Wallet works, and those are the things I'm using on a daily basis, hence I'm sharing this with you. But overall, the HyperOS 2 just feels more polished, and I just had less issues with this. In terms of animations, interface, everything here is so smooth, guys. Like no stutter, no lag whatsoever. Now guys, let's talk about the screen. The Xiaomi 15 is advertised to be 3400 peak nits brightness, and the Vivo X200 Pro Mini 4500. But the thing is that the Xiaomi 15 should be able to get this peak nits brightness in a 25% of the surface of the screen. With the Vivo it's not like this, but my display test really showed that the Vivo is just a tiny bit brighter. I expected more because the difference in the maximum or the peak nit brightness is more than 1000, and I didn't really see a big difference, and honestly both displays are really great. Now let's address the battery. The Vivo has 5700 mAh, the Xiaomi 15 5400. They are both great, and this is a phone that will get you to the day, like Apple are saying, full day battery. Like these things here really are full day battery. 90 watts word charging, so honestly you cannot really complain. Now let's talk about the speakers. When I did my unboxing of that thing here, the sound blew me away, but then I just put the Xiaomi 15 next to it, and the sound of the Xiaomi 15 is not only louder but also better compared to the Vivo. They both come with 12G LPDDR-X RAM UFS 4.0 storage, but there are some things that are not quite the same. For example, the Vivo here has a USB-C 2.0 and the Xiaomi came with 3.2, and again it's just not something that you'll notice on a daily basis, but for sure the better hardware is here. And speaking about better hardware, guys, the Xiaomi 15 has also one big change compared to last year's model, and this is the fingerprint. Because the fingerprint here is an ultrasonic one. And what can I tell you guys? Ultrasonic for me is just so much better. Now, first things first, larger surface. You can also use it with hands that are kind of wet. Also, in the night, you're not waking up the whole room and just burning your eyes. So definitely a better, more advanced technologies here. And of course, we have some more advanced port. IP68 here, IP69 here. So in this regard, the Vivo wins. And guys, now let's speak about the elephant in the room, because one of the biggest differences between the Xiaomi 15 and the Vivo X200 Pro Mini, besides of course the chips, are the cameras. And this is something that you're gonna notice very, very soon. The moment you start taking shots from 3x and above, the X200 Pro Mini just will kill it. And I'm not saying that the Xiaomi 15 camera is bad, but it's the same camera from last year, which was already a good one. Here we're using a light hunter sensor. Here we do have a Sony LIT 880, so it's more advanced technology, guys. And we do have also a proper 3x optical zoom. This phone can also go digitally up to 100. This can only do 60. For me, the better camera phone is the Vivo X200 Pro Mini. The Xiaomi 15 definitely very solid when you use the ultra wide and the wide, and probably even up to 3 to 5x. But the moment you just go beyond 5x, you're gonna see a lot of degradation. The Vivo X200 Pro Mini isn't also like a zoom king, because remember, all the zoom kings so far are using Samsung ISOCELL HP9, the 200 megapixel telephoto sensor, but you know, somehow the photos here from the Vivo and the processing are just tiny bit better. And this thing here, despite being the mini version but still a Pro, doesn't have even the blue chip. So just imagine next year with the Vivo X200 Ultra and with the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, those are gonna be some very capable phones. But it's not only the photos. The video that I shot from the Vivo 4K 60 was a tiny bit better than the Vivo from the Xiaomi. But the Xiaomi 15 can do 8K 30, right? Remember Snapdragon, this thing here can only do 4K. So yeah, it's kind of like a trade-off. And now with saying Snapdragon, I need to address the chips, guys. I really had high hopes for the Dimensity 9400 and I wasn't disappointed, right? I really at some point thought that this could even be better than the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Again, I'm just comparing these phones here, guys. When I talk about chips, just relate them to the phones that I'm using right now. And I went on a purpose for the smallest phones on the market, besides of course them being cheap, and I just like the form factor. Yeah, it's kind of comparable. So the Snapdragon 8 Elite here is still better, guys. It's not like drastically better, but you're gonna get like 5-10 FPS on an average better. And I tested games like CarX and Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves and PS2 emulation, and honestly the Snapdragon 8 Elite for me is still the better chip. Like both can really burn like 8-9 watts, and sometimes under severe load going up to like 15 watts, but the Xiaomi 15 was performing better compared to the Vivo X200 Pro Mini. The Xiaomi 15 can go up to like 51 Celsius and still keep your game, and when you go beyond 51 it's problematic, you know, it might really just overheat, and there's actually a sign for that. The Vivo here has a far more aggressive thermal management. When you reach like 45-46 Celsius, it will really throttle down, and sometimes in-game performance this means like 10-15 FPS lower on the average. So performance wise the Xiaomi 15 is still the better one, and believe me, I tested this really hard. I put it outside -2 Celsius, I put it in my fridge and also in ice water, so I pretty much know what I'm talking about. And now let's do the recap, and I'll be very blunt and honest with you guys. If it's only about the camera, I'll be picking up the Vivo X200 Pro Mini. Just the camera setup is just better compared to the Xiaomi 15. But if it's for overall performance, I'll still pick the Xiaomi 15. Snapdragon 8 Elite just a tiny bit better than Dimensity 9400. Also, Hyper OS version 2. Less problems with the apps that I'm using, right? I'm not saying that you cannot fix this here, but it will require more fine tuning. So if I need to keep one of those phones, well, I'm gonna keep the Xiaomi 15, guys. I can live with that camera. This camera being better, but remember, in the next 3 months we expect to get the Ultras, the 15 Ultra, the Oppo Find X8 Ultra, and also the Vivo X200 Ultra, and of course the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. So I can live with the Xiaomi 15's camera until it's time to upgrade again, and this is actually the phone that I would like to keep. If you have any particular questions about those phones, just hit me up in the comments. If you want to watch my full coverage, watch some of the older videos. Happy Christmas everybody, stay safe, VST over, and bye.